Hi everybody. Today I am going to be showing you how to use this Kumihimo disc braiding tool that we have in some of our craft kits here at Craft and Found Exchange. And I'm just going to be taking you through the simple steps to use this tool to do a 7-strand braid. So this is a simplified version of those discs that you might see that have lots and lots of openings on the sides to do jewelry making and braiding. This is just a simplified version of that makes it super easy to make a fun 7-strand braid. And I have some examples right here of what we'll be making. So to do this, you need your braiding tool. You need a couple different colors of either a thin yarn or embroidery floss or other kind of thicker thread, and a pair of scissors. You're going to cut 7 strands about 20 inches long of your thread or your embroidery floss. You can use up to 7 different colors. So if you want to make a multicolored braid like this one I used 7 different colors on. You can see sort of the design that's on here. You can choose up to 7 different colors for your braid. I'm going to be making this example here that just has 2 colors. You can sort of see the striped look that you get from this. So I have my 7 strands cut at about 20 inches right here. I have 3 of one color and 4 of the other. It doesn't matter which one you do, you have one more of. So either one is fine. You're just going to tie these 7 strands together with a simple overhand knot. So I'm just wrapping this around my fingers, reaching through and pulling those ends through the circle. And we're gonna pull that nice and tight. You can leave a little bit of a tail here. You could use that later on if you want to attach this braid to something like a necklace or a bracelet, or if you wanted to make like a keychain out of it. I like to go through and give each one of these 7 strands a tug on its own to just make sure I've tightened up this knot nice and secure. I should mention the 20 inches is for about a bracelet length. A good rule of thumb when you're doing this braiding is you want to cut about 3 times the length of what your finished product is going to be. So if you wanted to make a necklace or you wanted to make something smaller, just adjust the length of your strands. You're just going to take your strands, you're going to take your tool. Your tool will not come with this little arrow on it. I will show you why I have that on there in just a minute, but I'm going to start with that arrow side facing up, and I'm just going to push this knot through the tool, pull the tails out the other side, and flip it back over. I'm now going to place one of these strands into each of these little slots that's all the way around the sides. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. I'm just going to alternate them. But it doesn't matter too much what order you put them in to start here. I just like to start with them alternating. We're going to put one into each spot here, and you'll notice when you get to the end, there's going to be one slot that is open and does not have anything in it. And that is where we're going to start making the braid. Just get these separated. Sometimes you have to tug that knot back down into the center while you go around and put one strand into each opening. All right, so I'm just going to untangle all those tails down at the bottom. So I have my knot through the center of the disc. I have one strand held in each slot with one open slot. So when you do the braiding, you want to make sure that you are always moving in the same direction. So if you put this down for a minute, you walk away from it, you get distracted. If you come back to it, you want to make sure that you're braiding in the same direction that you were working before. That's how you can put this down and come back to it and start over again, and you don't forget which direction that you're moving and undo your braid. So that's why I draw this little arrow on my tool. So I know that I like to braid in this direction always. So if I set this down and I come back to it, I know I'm going this way. So that means I'm always going to be picking up my strands and moving them in the direction of the arrow. So I'm going to start by picking up a strand and move it in the direction of that arrow. So that's why I have that there. So if you want to go ahead and draw an arrow on your disc, then you'll be able to have that reminder of which direction you're working. So to do the 7-strand braid, you're going to find your opening. You're going to count back 1, 2 strands, find the third. So I'm leaving those 2 strands in place. I'm picking up the 3rd strand, moving it over the 2 and putting it into that open slot. I now have a new open slot. I'm going to count back 1, 2, find the 3rd, pick it up, move it over those 2, and I now have a new open slot. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Again, the arrow tells me which direction I'm heading. So I count back 1, 2, find the 3rd, pick it up, bring it over, put it into the new slot. Count back 1, 2, find the 3rd, pick it up, move it over. And I'm just going to keep doing that over and over and over again. Sometimes it helps to turn the disc as you go. If you like to be working in the same direction, you could turn the disc. If you like to always be picking up your thread with the same hand, sometimes you can just leave it right where it is. You want to just make sure that you're always leaving 1, 2 in place, picking up the 3rd and moving it into that new spot. Every now and then, I just rake my fingers down through these strands underneath to get those tangles out, because the strands, the tails are going to get tangled as you work. So I just take my fingers and I just comb them through those strands, the tails underneath every now and then to keep them from tangling. All right, so I just took that pause to untangle things, and I want to remind myself where I am. So I look at my arrow direction. I know I'm traveling this way. So I'm going to come back 1, 2, find my 3rd, move my string in the direction of the arrow. 1, 2, pick this up. The arrow tells me which way to go, so I don't wind up going backwards and undoing my braid. And you're just going to keep going like this over and over and over again. And depending on how thick or thin the string or the yarn or the thread that you're using is, it's going to take you a different amount of time to make your braid. But you will see that the braid is going to start to appear out of the bottom here. I've only done a few, so you can't see it too well yet, but you can see that braid is going to start feeding down out of the bottom. Every now and then you can give this knot a little tug at the bottom here that can help center it and keep your braid going nice and strong underneath. Some people like to put something heavy, like attach something with some weight on it to pull this down through. I don't think that that's too necessary unless you're making something really long. So if you were making like a really long braid, you might want to do that. But otherwise, you just keep going, always working in the same direction of your arrow, leaving 2 strands in place, picking up the 3rd, moving it into the new slot. When you get to the end and you've made your braid as long as you want it to be, you'll just release all 7 of the strands and pull the whole thing through the bottom. So you'll just pull the whole thing through, tie another overhand knot in the other side, and then you can go ahead and attach whatever kind of finishings you want onto it. So you could just take those knots, knot them together. I have another one here that I did. You could just have the 2 knots in place and you could just knot those together or use it like this. You can get some jewelry findings to put some little clasps on the end. I can put a little alligator clip on these to turn this into a bracelet. You can also, before you put the ends, the finishing, the little findings on the end, you can thread beads onto it. You could put your name on it like this. You could put a little saying. You could thread beads onto it. You could tie it together and make it a keychain. You can do all sorts of things with these. So that's how the basics of how to use this braiding disc that you may get in a craft kit here at Craft and Found Exchange. If you have any questions about this craft, if you need more supplies, if you need thread or yarn or help with your projects, please feel free to stop by the shop anytime we're open. We'd love to see what you're making and bring in your finished projects. We love to see what folks have made with the supplies and the tools they get here at Craft and Found. Have a great day, everyone.